Tebbutt for Behind the Gloves. I'm here with Tunde Ajayi at the, well, let's call it the Anthony Yarde Sjekloca weigh-in. How are you today, Tunde?
Oh, fantastic. We're doing very well.
Good, you're looking nice. We're shadowed up, but you look like kind of like a movie star. I like it.
Oh, wow. Well, it is what it is. Let me just say thank you for being the first interviewer to get my name right.
Oh, well, there we are. There we are. So I'm an avid fan of your work.
It's usually Tunde
Ajayi.
Or as Frank Warren says, Tunde.
Tunde.
So yeah, we're all good.
Good stuff. Just want to touch upon Anthony's training in preparation for this fight. Something I've just mentioned to him, probably not the right time to do it, seeing as he's just come off the scales.
Yes.
But a lot is always mentioned about his weight.
Yes.
Now, what can you tell us about it? Because this is now, I think, the second or third fight in a row where he's coming comfortably inside the 175 limit.
Yes. Well, you know, sometimes you don't have no control over what people say or think. You know, the fact is that this is now our fourth championship fight, and every fight we've come in under the weight. In fact, if you look at the record for the Richard Birani fight, he came in 12 stone 5. For this fight today, he came in 12 stone 5 again. So the limit is 12.7. I think where people are quite, like, because I read comments sometimes and people are like, how the hell does this guy get down to 175? There must be a struggle or anything. But the truth is that the proof's in the pudding. Anthony trains like no other fighter, and he's able to do things other athletes cannot do. So, you know, the only way you can prove it is by stepping on the scales and proving the weight. So he's done that successfully for the fourth time. I think the last fight, as you know, as everyone knows out there, you know, there were some family issues and life issues, and he dealt with them comfortably. In that fight, he showed me his mental strength, because, you know, most athletes in circumstances like the one we had prior, you know, probably would have pulled out the fight. There was calls for us to pull out the fight, but I was like, no, we ain't pulling out the fight. And Anthony was like, no way, you know, we'll do it. So Anthony phoned me. He said, Unks, you know, the weight. I said, don't worry about that. Don't worry about all that, as they say. Don't worry about all that. Come to the weigh-in and we'll get the weight off. And within 45 minutes, the weight was off.
It is one of those things that's sort of like a repetitive thing. I do feel bad to keep talking about it, but it's not a case of he's going through, it's not fat camp for Anthony. I mean, he is still able to work on his skills.
Well, as I say, we don't have a camp. We've never had a camp. You know, Anthony Yarde, as I've said over and over and over again, wants to be the best fighter ever. And that's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. And he lives the life. You know, don't watch the Insta stories, him having burgers and everything like that, which we do. And after this fight, we'll be back on that. But, you know, at the end of the day, this is Anthony Yarde's life, and he wants it. He wants to be the best. And to be the best, you've got to put in the work.
Now, as I understand it, Anthony, including amateur bouts, has had 25 bouts. So he had 12 as an amateur, I believe.
That's correct.
This is coming into his 14th fight.
Yes.
How much more has Anthony Yarde got to give us? I mean, he is very much learning on the job in the pro game.
Yes.
How much more has he got to develop?
Well, I've said it. I've been saying it for some times now. You know, Anthony is in the embryonic stage of his career. So, and by that, I mean, it might be a word people keep on getting, they might be tired of it, that I keep on saying it. But let's look at it. 12 amateur fights, going into his 14th professional fight. No amateur experience. So, you know, it's the fact that he's learning every day only suggests to me that he can only get better.
Is it difficult to match Anthony, because he is on this sort of rapid rise and he doesn't have the extensive amateur background, and he is still, I mean, he's blowing guys out in 1 or 2 rounds. He doesn't have the rounds under his belt.
Yes.
Is it difficult to match him?
Well, I think if, you know, go back to an interview I done when Anthony fought in Brentwood, you know, I said to the reporter at the time that I'm not basing Anthony's progress on the fights. I'm basing Anthony's progress on what I see in the gym every single day. And his opponents will be chosen based on what I feel is the right fight for him at the right time, because everyone knows everything is timing. It's not about fighting whoever, it's about me looking at the situation from a managerial perspective and making the right fights for him at the right time. because he's still young and he's still growing, and Anthony's only going to get better. So yes, he is blowing guys out, but again, I'm not going to put him in a fight the fans want just because he's doing that, because you've seen it over and over again. You know, boxing is a very fragile sport, and you have to make the right choices. And I'm in that position where I make the choices as his manager, but also I'm blessed to be his trainer as well.
Now, obviously, you've alluded to the fact that, you know, some fans have been calling for certain fights. Frank Buglioni, one of them, Jose Alberto, another, or perhaps they have been calling for the fights as opposed to the fans. Anthony's now fighting Nicola Sjekloca.
Yes.
How did that fight come about, and how is that test different, or how is that the right test for Anthony at this stage of his career as opposed to a Buglioni or a Burton?
Well, Anthony Yarde is world ranked. I think he might be number 5 in the WBO now. Jose Burton, I don't even know if he's ranked. I don't think he's ranked. Frank Buglioni has a British title, which has some credence. But yet, even though Jose Burton and Frank Buglioni have fought for the British title, and Frank Buglioni did fight for a world title, albeit unsuccessfully, but he fought for a world title. But I mean, we can keep on saying Anthony's hasn't fought no one. We obviously has, because he's number 5 in the WBO. So really, fighting Frank Buglioni now and Jose Burton is actually a step back, because Sjekloca has fought Sakio Bika, world champion, Arthur Abraham, world champion, Tyrone Zeus, I think he's a world champion, or thereabouts, Callum Smith, world class. Neither have Buglioni or Burton fought those caliber of guys, and this guy has never been stopped. So if it wasn't before, it definitely would be a step back now. But as Anthony has said, and as I have said, Frank Buglioni is a fighter we're ready to entertain. Because really, Frank Buglioni hasn't got nobody else to fight. But December the 9th is not the Frank Buglioni show. December the 9th is the Anti-Yard show. December the 10th, let's get into discussions about Frank Buglioni, because it's going to happen anyway, because Frank Buglioni don't have no more to fight.
The light heavyweight division is probably my favourite division in the sport currently. It's very open with the retirement of Andre Ward, a lot of belts. So they're starting to be picked up here and there.
Yes.
Now, obviously, we've spoken about matching Anthony and sort of his ascent. How quickly do you feel that he's going to be ready to maybe stake his own claim in the division at world level?
Well, everything's timing. And Richard Burani wasn't even on our radar. I was doing my research and study, as I always do every day, and I saw the fight, and I saw that he was the WBO champion. So I looked at the tape, I studied the tapes, and I said, the level Anthony's at now, he could beat that guy. So I made that match. And that was the right fight for Anthony at that right time. So, as I've said, one must be very careful about saying, I want to fight him, I want to fight, because you just really don't know. Nobody knows the future. We can have a plan and an idea, but nobody knows the future. So, as you say, there's a fragmentation of the belts now. And I'm quite sure, you know, who knows? Next year, next month, something could come up. Didn't Anthony Joshua's fight just came out of the blue with Charles Martin? It did, and the next thing he was a world champion. So anything can happen. And it's a word you keep hearing me say. Everything is timing, and we will be timing. When we get that world title, it will be timing as well. So I'm not calling no one's name, because it's the Anthony Yarde Roadshow, and I'm in the Anthony Yarde business.
Moving away from Anthony Yarde, not that we're going to speak about a potential opponent. Yes. I know you're somebody who loves your boxing. You're an avid student of the game, as well as a teacher. Yes. Saturday night in New York presents a wonderful fight between Vasyl Lomachenko and Guillermo Rigondeaux. Just wanted to gauge your opinion on that fight, how you see the fight going.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't really paid that much attention to the fight, being that it's on the same day as our fight. But from what I can gauge, most people are picking Lomachenko just because of the size difference and, you know, the way they've looked. But I'm actually going for Rigo. and I can go into various reasons why. But I just think that this is going to be a real test for Lomachenko, you know, and he's got a defeat against a guy that Rigo would have beaten. So you can't really say it's going to be as easy as what most people are thinking. My pick is Rigo by points.
Okay, well, you heard it here first. Tunde Ajayi.
I might be wrong.
You might be wrong.
But I never am.
Okay, well, Tunde Ajayi, thank you very much for speaking to Behind the Gloves.
Yes,
Look
sir.
forward to catching up with you on Saturday
Yes,
after the show.
And thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
Hey fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking right here.